Hey everyone, it's me, Catherine Endy, the Family Life Coach. And today we are going to be talking about meal times. So I want to talk a little bit about how to manage and give you some suggestions for how to make meal times go more smoothly with your growing people. So many of the concerns that were shared in the group about meal times included primarily, like the primary thing was really that when you serve food to your children, keeping in mind that it's food that you've probably spent an hour preparing, they turn up their nose and they say, ew, I'm not eating that, that's disgusting. And I don't know about you, but I know for me that triggers a lot of stuff for me because I just spent time and energy, not just that hour or more preparing the food, but the time that went into planning the food. And for us in our home, we have a lot of things that we can't eat, or different people have different dietary restrictions. So the planning isn't just laying out, burgers tonight and soup tomorrow and grilled cheese the next day. It's actually, we have to take into consideration the person who doesn't eat dairy and the person who doesn't eat gluten and the people who don't eat meat and all of that. So there's quite a lot of time and effort that goes into planning and preparing meals. So already just in that moment of, I put in all this time and effort and then it's rejected, right? And so for me, this brings up some stuff. And so I just want to acknowledge that might be going on for you as well. And even beyond just the immediate stuff of the last hour or few days that you've spent, prepping and planning and preparing meals, that you might have your own stuff about food. Most of us have some kind of emotional issues associated with food, whether that's that we were forced to eat everything on our plate, or it could be that we were shamed around food, or we weren't allowed to have certain foods or only under certain conditions. All kinds of stuff comes up for us about food at meal times. And so I want to encourage you first and foremost over the next few weeks to just bring a little bit of awareness to that. Like, what's coming up for you when your child or children reject the food that you made? Is there stuff that comes up for you about rejection? Is there stuff that comes up for you about, I put in all this effort? Or is there stuff for you about your own relationship with food that comes up when your food that you prepared gets rejected by your children? So that's one thing, is just shine a little light on that. What's going on for you? Because the truth is, children are going to eat it or not, and we can't force them to eat the food that we make, and we shouldn't force them to eat anything. We can certainly encourage and present them with options, but we can't force them to eat. And the real issue is that what you bring to it, the energy that you bring to it. And I know you're always hearing me say this. It's not what you do, it's how you be, it's how you show up, it's the energy you bring to the situation. So if you know in advance that you're going to be met with some resistance or some rejection around the food that you made, what can you do in advance of mealtime to prepare your heart, to prepare your emotional body for the rejection that you know is coming? Because it doesn't help anybody for you to be all emotionally activated at mealtimes. It doesn't help family dinner time to go the way you want it to go, and it doesn't help you to be the parent that you want to be, because as soon as you're all activated and you're all in your feelings about it, you're not able to choose your behavior and choose your response as well. So just like pretty much everything else in parenting, it really comes back to you and how you are showing up, how you are managing your own emotional state, how you're managing your own energy. So do you need to have a little bit of a internal ritual before you put the food on the table that says, I love and accept myself, and I did a great thing by making this food, and it doesn't matter whether they like it or not, I'm putting this food on the table to nourish my family, and I am a good person and a good parent, whether they like the food or not. Maybe you need to say that to yourself before you put the food on the table. maybe you just need to take a deep breath and a nice long drink of water and calm your mind before you put that food on the table, because you already know, based on what you all have told me in the group this week, you already know that you're probably going to be met with some rejection, especially if you have more than one child. I have 3 children, and inevitably, even at their ages, inevitably, the food I put on the table is met by someone with some disgust or rejection, or I don't want to eat that, or I hate that, or I don't eat vegetables. So I already know that's going to happen. And by coming to the table with an emotionally regulated system, I get to choose how I respond. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, what do you do about it? What do you do? Okay, great, you've managed your emotions. What do you do about the fact that they're not eating what you made? There are a lot of different schools of thought on this, and I am certainly no expert in the feeding of children, but I will say that having many options on the table is always a good idea. So if there are things that you know everyone will eat, whether it's yogurt or applesauce or carrot sticks or apple slices, anything healthy that you know everyone at the table will eat, I suggest having a couple of those options on the table every night. And that might be a little bit of extra work, but you can prep veggie sticks in advance and keep them in the fridge. You can just put the jar of peanut butter on the table if that's what, if that's the thing, if your children can eat peanut butter, if that's the thing that is sort of the backup option. Our kids are old enough that we just say, feel free to go make yourself something else. But we try to just stay really calm and not take it personally, because it's not about you. It's not about what you did or didn't do. And it's not your child's job to recognize and congratulate you on your efforts. They're a child, they're in their feelings, they're in their experience. And it's really on us as the adults to manage ourselves and our emotions and our experience. So the first step in doing that is to shine some light on it, to bring some awareness to it. So I hope this is a helpful tip for you this week. I know that if you are in the US, it is Thanksgiving this week. So I want to say happy Thanksgiving, and also keep this stuff in mind as you go into this meal, this Thanksgiving meal, because Thanksgiving in the US is really, the celebration is really just a big meal, and it's a big meal full of vegetables that a lot of times kids don't want to eat. So you might want to talk with them in advance about what's going to be on the table and what the options are. And you might want to have some choices there for them so that they can plan ahead what they're going to eat. And if you have rules and parameters around whether they have to, try some vegetables before they're allowed to have some pie or some dessert, you want to lay that stuff out in advance so that they know what to expect, and really have a couple conversations about that in advance so that it doesn't become an issue during your nice holiday celebration. And I am delighted to be with you and look forward to seeing you next time.